And welcome back, everybody. Let me fix my screen here. There we go. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 223 of Two Goalies, One Mic. Brought to you, of course, by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need to get a beer, get on over to Fatty Beer. Let them know we sent you over from Two Goalies, One Mic. And of course, shout out to Western New York's finest selections of mattress adjustable beds at Extreme Discount Mattress, featuring the Cool Gel Memory Foam, two-sided mattress, tele latex, organic mattresses, Chatham and Wells, Scott Living, all for 1/3 to half the supposed sale prices anywhere. Stop at their 7 locations across Western New York or check out their website, extrememattress.com. That is Extreme to the next. If you're looking for more savings, check out their new website. Check out the new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga, up to 80% off their already low prices. Save a fortune on one-of-a-kind closeouts and floor samples. Get a quality mattress for literally pennies on the dollar. Extreme Discount Mattress. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. And remember, you get a free mattress protector with the purchase of any mattress from Extreme Discount Mattress. So make sure you let them know you're a fan of the podcast. And of course, Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York, located at 5087 Broadway, Suite 100 in Depew, New York, right next to Catalyst Fitness. 5-star facility, 5-star staff. Make sure you give them if you've had any type of injury, whether it was on the field, on the ice, slip and fall, at work, they'll take you over there, take care of you over there at Impulse Physical Therapy. Alex Peters, one of the owners over there, is currently helping me rehab my serious leg injury from last year to get myself ready to get back on the ice. I don't have enough good things to say about them. They do a phenomenal job. And remember, if you mentioned you're a fan of Two Goalies, I'm like, you get yourself a $77 assessment. So, Hurls, now that we're through all the ad reads, I wish that, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it for sure. But somehow, I mean, I don't want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs during a preview show for the second round of the playoffs. Sabres versus Toronto, or Sabres versus Montreal. But did you happen to watch that live?
I didn't. I was asleep. So I just woke up to the news that that the Leafs won.
They missed the playoffs one time since they drafted Matthews, which they drafted him in Buffalo. Drafted in Buffalo again this year. And they win the draft lottery. Hold on. I want you to give your reaction real quick for a second. Just go ahead. Give your reaction.
Yeah. The initial reaction, as always, would be to say NHL rigged. I think that it is the funniest possible option, funniest possible result. That I don't even know how many spots they moved up. How many spots did they move up? We'll figure that out. Either way, Toronto winning is, especially Vancouver not winning, with how destitute that franchise has been for such a long time and throughout their history, to be honest, rivaling the Sabres in terms of ineptitude over the course of their franchise history. This was Vancouver's moment to really, truly turn the franchise around and get some excitement into that fan base and that community. Even if Gavin McKenna isn't necessarily this generational prospect that we thought he once was, it was at least this huge name that everybody knows for a long time. This Canadian kid. I'm not necessarily sure if he's from Western Canada or not, but regardless, a Canadian kid at the top of the draft that teams can get excited about. Yeah, that was the guy. He's from Whitehorse, Canada. Oh, from the same place as Dylan Cousins is. So closer to Vancouver than he is to Toronto. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs to swoop in and get the number 1 pick is the funniest possible scenario and probably the most heartbreaking if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan. So I feel really bad for them. I feel for them. It's almost McDavid Eichel level, but you don't have the Jack Eichel that would be the number 2 overall that at least the Sabres were guaranteed to get. So, yeah, I mean, I don't actually believe things are rigged. I think that would be something that would be figured out. There's too many good journalists in hockey and in sports, but it's fun to talk about. So I see you're putting your tinfoil hat on. I asked earlier, how many spots did they jump?
They went from 5th to 1st.
So it's not like completely outlandish, and like let's live in a world for a second where this process is actually real, and the luck was on their side. Not an insane jump for the team that was at the number 5 spot to go to number 1. There have been bigger jumps. I think San Jose went up 7 spots, so that's technically a bigger jump. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if it is rigged, then it's the most obvious rigging of all time.
Hey, listen, I posted the video right before we went live. For those of you who for those of you who are fans of the show, you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I've seen episodes here and there, but not recently.
Okay, so there was an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, season 3, episode 1 to be exact, where Mac is trying to prove that evolution isn't real, that God is real, this, that, and the other. Not to get into that whole conversation, but I'm going to repeat his quote. All right. Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? There it goes. No. Hold on. Religion. Verse. Evolution. I got to find that quote. So, regardless, it is 2026. Okay? It is 2026. And of all the conspiracy theories that I've seen people like believe, whether it's on social media, Earth is flat, whatever, the moon landing was fake. Listen, it's 2026. To sit here and tell me that there's no way on live TV they could possibly rig the NHL Draft Lottery, I'm sorry, you're a fool. You're a fool. This is $1 billion business. And if they want the ping pong balls to go their way, mind you, they're ping pong balls, they'll find a way to make the ping pong balls go their way. There are plenty of things that have been hidden from the media over the years, dating back however far back you want to go. All right? The Toronto fucking Maple Leafs made one of the worst GM hires, and honestly, they're saying that in the history of the franchise, not even the league, in hiring Chayka. Steve Simmons, did you see that question he asked, by the way?
I've seen the clip, but I haven't listened to it.
Yeah. Like, you want to talk about a franchise that had hit rock bottom after losing Marner, missing the playoffs, a complete laughing stock. One of the worst GM hires. There goes my tinfoil hat. Whatever. One of the worst GM hires in the history of the league and the franchise. And you're on the brink of possibly losing one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the league. There was one thing that could have possibly prevented all that and turned everything around, at least in the moment. They have a lot of other things they need to fix. No doubt they have a lot of other things they need to fix. Gavin McKenna doesn't fix everything. But if you want to bring Leafs Nation back around, if you want to keep a guy like Austin Matthews in the mecca of hockey, arguably one of the meccas of hockey in that city, there was only one way to do it. And I said this back when Pittsburgh won the draft lottery for Crosby. There was one thing that was keeping the Penguins in Pittsburgh, because they were bankrupt and owned by the league. And that was winning the first overall pick. That was the only way they were probably keeping Austin Matthews in Toronto. And I've said my piece. And I'm dug in. I am absolutely dug in. You are not going to change my mind. And I don't have to change my mind because I'm an American.
Well, if you're a Canadian, you wouldn't have to either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a definite possibility. I don't think it'll ever be proven. So I think with a lot of hypothetical situations, you can talk about it as much as you want, but there is a thought loop of sorts that will go round and round and round with people talking about it when nothing will ever, or I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like if a journalist is able to get evidence, that would be remarkable, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen. So I think at this point, it's just like it's a funny talking point, especially in this instance. And like, I'm kind of excited. Like, I think it's cool. Like, let's say this works out for the Leafs and Gavin McKenna is that generational prospect or close to it that he was billed as. And in the next 2 to 3 years, even, or maybe even next season, the Sabres and Leafs are good at the same time. I think that's great for us. And I think it's great for the league. Reigniting that regional rivalry, the Leafs having they already have an inflated sense of importance around the league, but an actual footing in the Eastern Conference and the Atlantic Division race. I think that's cool. And I think those two teams being good at the same time, as we're going to see with the Canadiens and Sabres in this upcoming round, which I think we should talk about very soon. I think that's good, honestly, and I'm excited. There's things you can control in life, and there's things that you can't. And the NHL Draft Lottery, as we well know, is absolutely one of them.
Yeah, and it's just maybe it's just me being a bitter Sabres fan. Like, we literally lost on purpose for an entire year to win the draft lottery, and we still didn't win. We won, honestly, 2 years on accident. Years we weren't trying to win the draft lottery. We get to Exit Donnelly, fantastic. We get Owen Power, fantastic. But like, they missed the playoffs one time in a decade. One time. And they win the draft lottery for a second time. And it's, of course, it's in Buffalo. And you know you're going to get those Toronto fans all flooding down to our arena to watch their team draft Gavin McKenna first overall. Can't wait. It's going to be great, girls. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, well, shout out to them. I'm not worried about it. I was working very early this morning, so I came home and fell asleep right around the time of the lottery, and I think that's nice because I didn't care about the lottery once for the past.
I didn't even know it was tonight.
Yeah, I didn't care about the lottery once for the past 4 months. I didn't know about it either. I learned about it earlier today, and I was not interested enough to stay awake. So I consider that to be a win. Good for Toronto. It'd be funny if they took Stenberg over McKenna, but they're probably going to take Gavin McKenna. And I feel bad for Vancouver Canucks fans.
And like, listen, I have a couple. Shout out to Malcolm, Sam, Sean, a couple of my buddies up in Vancouver. I literally messaged them like really into the draft and was like, I'm really pulling for you guys because if there's a likable team out of Canada, it's definitely the Vancouver Canucks. Like, we both came into the league, both us and the Sabres, the same year. They're an easy team to get behind. Fantastic throwback jerseys. Good team history. Ryan Miller played there, so another reason you can like go back and like them. I was a big fan of Paul Valbury when he played. So, and I'm as a goalie, who isn't a Lou fan? Everybody's a Luongo fan. I'm torn for them, man. It sucks.
Yeah, for sure. But again, just like we were disappointed back in 2015, I think there sometimes is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think just generally, even with us, even with them, like, why lose your mind about something you literally cannot change? So it's what it is. And yeah, we'll go from here.
I was actually last point. I was actually texting Steve Dangle right after they won the lottery because they did their live stream and they reacted and they obviously lost their minds. But like, I was just like, dude, like, I'm happy for you, but I also hate your guts right now. And I just want you to know that, like, at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time tonight, 90% of North America all said the word. 90% of hockey fans in North America all said the word rigged.
Yeah, it's the accusations have credibility, but again, they're just accusations, at least for now.
I just think it's hilarious when people go, "Oh, there's no way it can be rigged. It's on live TV." I mean, not okay. Okay. Anyways, I do want to get back to, we got a couple super chats in here from Rakeen, one of our favorite guys. shout out to you. As long as we can slow down Montreal's speed and play physical hockey, we should be good, but got to fix that power play. Getting right into the preview of Sabres versus Montreal, which starts tonight. I will be in the house for that. I was surprised, Hurls. I was listening to kind of like Montreal's, first round against Tampa. Try and guess how many goals and points Suzuki and Caulfield combined for in the first round.
I know 0 goals or
No, two goals, two total goals.
I think is it 2? And
Two total goals between two of them.
and then like 4 points or something.
No, it was 10 points, but they were a -7.
Yeah, I saw, and I think I saw it even strength. They didn't have any goals, the two of them. Slavkovsky had the hat trick in game 1, and I was reading earlier that top line of Slavkovsky, Suzuki, and Caulfield really controlled play and had the majority of chances while they were on the ice, but they didn't convert. So you got to suspect that might change this series. Like, that top line is so good and they're so talented, and arguably with Krebs, Thompson, and Tuck, the most dangerous line in this series, and it's going to be absolutely critical to keep them at bay. They're all on the power play too, obviously, so that's also got to factor in. But that line could heat up really, really quickly. We've seen it happen before. Caulfield's has had some really good games against the Sabres. I know Suzuki has produced as well, and Slavkovsky, former number 1 overall pick, ironically enough, he is, I think, hitting his stride from a goal scoring perspective, and he comes up in big moments as he has in international play. So yeah, it's gonna be really, really critical to slow them down as much as possible.
Yeah, and Caulfield, I mean, that guy could just turn it on like that. There's another 50-goal score. I didn't even realize Suzuki had 100 points this season, 101 points. That's insane. It's one of the quietest 100-point seasons in the league. I didn't even realize that guy, I mean, I always knew he was talented, but 100 points, that's crazy for the Montreal captain. They get Noah Dobson back, which is huge for them. I think I'll take my blue line over their blue line all day, girls.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Habs fans breaking down the matchups for some reason, of the Canadiens blue line to the Sabres blue line 1-for-1, and it's bait, but a lot of them are putting out into the Twitterverse that they would all take Lane Hudson over Rasmus Dahlin, which I don't agree with. But if you want that, of course they're going to have that biased opinion. I think down each pair, I think the Sabres have more depth. They've got, I think, better pairings specifically. Like Noah Dobson's, he's a good shutdown defender. Matheson's not bad. I think that just especially the top 4, as we've seen all season long, has been the backbone of the Sabres defensive unit and largely the team. And as we saw, especially later into the first round against the Bruins, not only did Dahlin really come into his own, but Byram Power really produced at a high clip. They gave up some chances in their own end, as they did a lot of the season. They were playing a bit of river hockey, fire wagon hockey, but that pairing, those top 2 pairings have been really, really good. And the third pairing held their own too, at least defensively, in the limited minutes that they got. So I personally like the Sabres defense a little bit more. Of course, we're biased, but I think it's one of the best defensive, top to bottom, one of the best 3-pair defensive units in the league.
And listen, Logan Stanley was good in the first round. I mean, you can say what you want about him, but how often did you find yourself complaining about Logan Stanley? I think he really settled in and found his footing on this team. It took him a little while, for sure, since the deadline, but I have no problems with the way Stanley played. Now, this is a different team. Boston wasn't as fast. Montreal is a fast, high skill level team who can move the puck up ice. And I don't know, maybe we'll see if a matchup like this, where speed is going to be crucial, maybe I don't know. Could you see a Zach Metza in at some point because of the speed of the game?
Potentially. I don't know if it would make a big enough impact on the third pair to necessitate that type of move, especially when they largely, especially as a core, did pretty well in that first round. I think it would take an injury. And we saw with an illness or an injury, Kesselring was first up. And in his limited minutes, I thought he did all right in game 6. Didn't notice him too much. That's probably what you want out of a guy that was in and out of the lineup for most of the season. So we'll see. But at this current moment, especially as we all know, given what was traded to acquire Michael Kesselring as the centerpiece of the JJ Peterka trade, I think that he earned the opportunity. And if Stanley is held out, which he probably won't be, given it was an illness for game 1, it's going to start again with Stanley and Timmins, and then they'll go from there. So the Metza discussion, I think, is probably a little bit far off in the distance, but it's nice to have that option, even with Luke Shen as well, with the experience and the grit. But yeah, the team is really fast. They're, I think, the only other team in the league that's younger than the Sabres. Obviously, they have a lot of skill at the top of the lineup. I was reading a little bit about the forward breakdowns and the impacts today. I think in similar fashion to the defense, I think the Sabres' top 9 is better than the Canadiens' top 9. I think they have more depth.
I agree with that
in their forward unit. That Benson and Doan line is whoever's been on it, either Ostlund or Norris, has been really, really good. You want more out of Ryan McLeod. You want more production out of Jack Wynn and Jason Zucker, but they at least held their own. And then the fourth line did what they needed to do. So, yeah, I personally think it is extremely close, especially given that maybe Montreal's top line, I mean, Krebs, Thompson, and Tuck were some of the highest impact forwards in the first round. So it's tough to say that Montreal's top line is better. But if you had to pick one area where the Canadiens have a strength, that is potentially the area. But I do think that the Sabres line combinations, I don't think Lindy is going to necessarily match up one line specifically with the Caulfield line. I think that each line theoretically could handle that line really well. Maybe it's Benson, Doan, and Norris because they're so good on the forecheck. They hound guys defensively. They're so good back checking. Maybe it's that line more often than not, but who knows? I think it's really a case-by-case scenario. So we'll see. I think it's extremely close. I was reading a breakdown today on The Athletic, and they gave the series odds 51% to the Sabres and 49% to the Canadiens. Those are razor-thin margins. And that is where, as Rakeen mentioned earlier, that's where the power play comes into effect, and it's something they got to fix really, really soon.
So Sam Carrick, Ricky Stanicki back on the ice practicing today. He did not take line rushes, but compared to what we heard a couple days ago from Lindy, that there's no chance, like he was missing the first round along with Ostlund, and now to hear that he's been cleared to practice, like if he's good to go, do you put him right back into that line, that fourth line that we had? Who was he? Was it Malenstein?
Well, I don't think he ever played with Greenway.
No, but Krebs on the top line now. But that fourth line, I think I want to say it was him, Krebs, and Malenstein, wasn't it?
I think so. If
that line was incredible.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously changed now, but yeah, if he's healthy or at least like even 90%, I would prefer Sam Carrick's physicality and experience over Tyson Kozak. So yeah, I would say that you do. And what he gives you on the draws, I think that faceoffs are important for sure, but they're not necessarily the end all be all. But if you can win an important draw, especially at the end of the game, especially on the power play, obviously Sam Carrick wouldn't necessarily be on the power play, but if you really need to win a draw and you haven't been doing it all game, he's one of your best faceoff men. So, and I mean, maybe that would be affected by his injury. I saw people pointing out today that his left bicep was much smaller than his right. And that's
probably it was crazy smaller.
Yeah, much related to the fact that he hasn't been able to work out that arm at all in the recovery from his injury. So maybe that would affect his ability to leverage his position on faceoffs, I'm not sure. Either way, I think they're going to ramp him up maybe in the next week or so to begin the series. And if they need him in games 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, TBD, I think he's a guy that could slot in there, and he's a playoff type performer.
No doubt. I think he, I want to say that in 60 games with the Rangers, he had like 4 goals. Maybe somebody in the chat could check these stats. But with Buffalo, in the short amount of time, he had 6 goals, like 6 goals in like 15 games or something like that. I could be wrong on those numbers. I'm pretty close though, I think. Like, and Carrick said, and he said he wasn't trying to throw shade at the Rangers, but like the Sabres have given him a different opportunity that he wasn't given in New York.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, especially at a deadline deal, going from a team that was very much out of it for most of the season and was actively tanking and selling off to a team that's right in contention, you could tell how much it meant to him to join a group like this and have that type of opportunity. And you could see the impact that he made in those 15 to 20 games or so that he played for the Sabres. He was all over the place, clearly fit into the room really well, super well respected amongst the guys. And I think they would welcome him back with open arms.
And we got Brody Brown here in the chat. Carrick over Kozak. I think that's an easy decision there. Kozak comes out of the lineup. You slot Carrick right back in. And how big is he going to be on faceoffs for them? That is outside of the obvious being the power play, the faceoff circle. They were horrendous in the faceoff circle in round 1. That is definitely somewhere they need to improve, and Sam Carrick will do that for him.
For sure. Yeah. Any little bit helps. Hopefully it's something they're working on. I know Tage specifically was not too great in the first round when he's doing so many other things and contributing as much on the score sheet as he was and getting the type of chances he did eventually over the course of the series. Not as important from your first line center, but yeah, I think faceoffs, power play, 2 fringe level areas that they definitely need to work on and improve.
No doubt. Your thoughts on Consta Hellenius being called up in the Black Aces, the only player called up in the Black Aces to practice the team this morning. You know, for a replacement for a guy, Noah Ostlund, like the top 6 guy that you're trying to replace, in terms of his scoring and his ability to produce and what he does on the ice. I think Consta Hellenius is probably the closest player, like comparable on your roster currently to Noah Ostlund. They both play a very similar style of hockey. I think Consta probably has a little bit more of a scoring touch than Ostlund, but I'm actually pretty enthused. I hope we do see him in game 1.
Yeah. Based upon what Lindy said, just having that extra center for the 5th line, the extra skaters, I think was the reason they had him practice today. But as we know, with basically any coach in the NHL playoffs, what they say in their press conference
What they do
is not necessarily what they do. Could be smoke and mirrors, could be a smokescreen. I don't necessarily think he plays tomorrow, but having him back on the ice, getting him ramped up with the team, getting him around the guys, I think is hopefully a boost for everybody, not only himself, but for the rest of the guys, given how much talent he has to produce the numbers he did at 19 years old in the AHL is one of the best seasons for a player that age in a really long time. And we saw it when he was up with the Sabres. That shot he had against UC Saros
it was his 2-goal game, right?
Yeah, but the one specifically where he went over his shoulder and bar down for his, I think, first NHL goal against likely one of his Finnish idols is really remarkable. He has a release that I think is top tier. Like you said, he's a different type of player than Noah Ostlund. He's way more of a sniper, but he's got speed. He's got playmaking ability. He is a center, of course, and you can never have enough center depth, especially with that type of skill and goal scoring ability. So if they get into a situation where they need to switch things up or there's an injury or an illness, I think he's the first guy not named Sam Carrick to slot into the lineup unless Carrick's already in for game 1.
Yeah, I agree. From what Paul Hamilton said on GR today, It doesn't seem like they changed much with the power play. The only thing they did differently is they tried to move Tage around more. I mean, same personnel. I personally would like to. I mean, is Benson playing on the first unit, or is he strictly the second unit?
I haven't seen the
I
updated.
want to see he's with the I want to say he's with the second unit for most of the first round. I want to see him on that first unit, man, because like that guy does everything he will do everything possible to score. He gets to the blue paint. He gets in the goalie's face. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to take a beating in front. He's a dog on the puck. He digs out loose pucks. He's an incredible playmaker, and he's just a pest, man. He's just a pest out there, and he's gonna get to those dirty areas to score dirty goals. I'd love to see him on that first power play. And if you're gonna try and fix the first power play, I think that's where you start.
Yeah, no, it definitely couldn't hurt to try something new and switch up the combination. He's obviously been really good. We've all seen the Zach Benson in a playoff environment tweet where it's a monkey being. What movie is that from? The monkey being handed the
I'm not sure, but it's funny as hell.
Maybe Planet of
Benson on
the
the
Apes.
second
My
unit.
guess is Planet of the Apes, but I don't know that for sure. If somebody wants to chime in, yeah, I think that putting Tuck on there is clearly a good idea. A lot more movement, a lot more creativity. I stress, I hope that they've been watching other teams that you'd think the Avalanche would be the model, but their power play has not been good all season long. And that actually weirdly makes me feel better that one of the few teams that has as much talent on their top power play unit as the Sabres do would be the Avalanche, and they've struggled.
Mm-hmm.
So I think kind of like goalies, power plays are just weird sometimes. They go through stretches where they're completely stagnant, and maybe we'll see in the first three or four games where they'll be at a 50% clip. I don't think it's out of the question. I really don't. But yeah, just something different. Even chipping in pucks, having guys go into the corners with speed rather than trying to carry it in, attempting the slingshot or the double slingshot every single time. They need different options for both entry and puck movement while they're in the zone. I feel like a broken record because we've been saying this all season long, but they got to try something different. Even the goal that they had in game 5 where they broke the drought, it was kind of off a broken play where Zucker's pass was deflected in front, came right back to him. He got it over to Dahlin on the weak side, and he was able to fire in a one-timer that went off the post. That was more of a transition goal than a true power play goal. They're going to need to get to the front of the net, get tips, get rebounds. Look at even the Tampa Montreal game. I don't know if any of those were power play goals, but the tips in that game 7 are the archetype of the goal that you need in the playoffs on the power play. Taking Dobish's eyes away, he's a big goalie, but getting a rebound, getting a dirty goal, scoring a goal like Benson did in game 4 on Swayman, where it was a 2-on-0 in front of the net, but he gets to the neck and it goes off his skate into the net. Got to do something. Even Dahlin in an opportunity like Quinn Hughes the other night where people think he intentionally passed it off a defender's skate. I, for one, think he was trying to get it over to Kaprizov on the back door. Either way, firing it off shin pads, doing whatever you possibly can to get a good bounce, I think is paramount.
Dude, Quinn Hughes is like, and this is not a knock against like any other different, like Cal McCarr, Rasmus Dahlin, obviously, but dude, like he is so good, dude, so good. 11 points in the first round for Quinn Hughes. Like that is a guy that's been fun to watch, especially when they're on the power play.
Yeah, he is so unbelievably creative and so good at creating space and using his momentum and his leverage against defenders. That's what makes the Canucks discussion all the more depressing, is that they traded away this generational prospect, their best player, their former captain, to get in this position to probably draft Gavin McKenna, and unfortunately they won't be able to, likely. But yeah, he's amazing. I think that, in my opinion, the top 3 defensemen in the league at their best are Quinn Hughes, Cal McCarr, and Rasmus Dahlin. I think Dahlin had a slow start to the series, but he was able to pick it up towards the end, and he eventually had 67% of the expected goals at 5-on-5 when he was on the ice throughout the entire series. So even if he had a slow start, having that number over the course of 6 games is really, really good. I think he was able to pick it up and control play. Cal McCarr obviously does it in the same way. And they're guys that they're essentially a fourth forward on the ice in terms of their offensive impact and offensive rating. They can do so much for you, and especially when it's from the defensive end, it's insanely valuable to have a guy like that. And the Canadians do as well. Lane Hudson he's obviously young, but he's had a really good impact to start his career, and it's going to be important to neutralize him as well.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Lane Hudson too, man. Like that kid, how old is he? Is he 19, 20?
Yeah, he's young. I think he might be 20, 21 because he's got 3 younger brothers at this point. No, he's 22. So
he's 22, but still,
he's the oldest.
Like producing at the clip he produces, like, dude, he has been like incredible these past 2 years. That's going to be a guy, especially when they do get the man advantage. I'm not sure how they run their power play. If they do that whole slingshot breakout the way we do, that drives us nuts. But I mean, him carrying the puck up the ice, man, he's such a dangerous, fast hockey player. He's gonna be tough to match up against. I mean, Caulfield too, just Caulfield, Suzuki, Dobson, Lane Hudson, just like they have so many players that could really kill you at any given moment. And this, I mean, personally, we both discussed Tampa would have been more favorable matchup, but I could easily see this series going 7 games or else.
Yeah, I think that at this point, that's the most likely scenario, given how close the numbers have been, even throughout the regular season, looking back, and even in the playoffs. Like, I think there's this crazy stat that I think 95% of the Canadians and Lightning first round matchup was within 1 goal of each other the entire series. I think the first 3 games went to overtime. I didn't watch too much of it aside from Game 7 the other night, but yeah, it is a really close series. And despite Montreal getting 9 shots in Game 7, 0 shots in the second period, I don't think that's representative of what this team is. They can play a run and gun style of hockey. I think they were being purposefully conservative and trying to limit chances, and that's not necessarily the type of game that they play or play well. And same goes for the Sabres. So I'm expecting a back and forth affair, a really exciting series. I think more exciting than a Sabres and Lightning series would have been, to be honest. I think it's potentially a better matchup for the Sabres because I think the Lightning did a really good job of neutralizing Montreal's top guys and forechecking well and being physical and mucking it up. But the Sabres, I mean, this is the chance to show that they are this river hockey team that whoever called them that made them out to be. They can play a run and gun style as well as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And finishing on their chances, hopefully being a little bit better on the power play and getting some continued great goaltending from Alex Lyon is going to be absolutely massive.
And that's what I want to talk. Well, before we get to that, I like this comment here from Josh Vaughn. Hope I pronounced your last name correctly. I'd like to see more from Jack Quinn. I couldn't agree with you more. Especially with a matchup, which I really think, I don't think this is going to be like, I think there's going to be tight games, but I could totally see these be high scoring games, or else much more so than the games against Boston. I mean, granted, we had that, what was it, game 4? Was game 4 the 6-1 game? So, I mean, yeah, I need more from that guy. You got to find ways to get him to find open ice, get him in the lanes. I mean, maybe move him around more on the power play. Maybe put him in that spot instead of Tage. Like, I don't know. You got to find ways to get that guy open. Is he a left-handed shot or a right-handed shot?
Jack Quinn, right?
He's a right-handed. So why not put him in that spot instead of Tage? You know what I mean? Move Tage around. Put Quinn in that spot.
Yeah, I think they tried him on that top unit, and clearly it wasn't very successful. So I'm not necessarily sure going back to him there is the answer, at least in my opinion. But I think this type of matchup against a team that is a little smaller, a little less physical than the Bruins is a much better scenario and matchup for Jack Quinn. I think this is his type of game. This is the river hockey, open ice, able to use his skill type of scenario where he could really thrive. I think he was bogged down a bit by the Bruins, as the Lightning did to the Canadiens, really, really mucking it up with the Sabres and getting up early and playing their trap and playing their game where they sat back. They even did it when they were down 4-0 in Game 4, which was hilarious. But yeah, I think Jack Quinn specifically, amongst anybody that has an opportunity to really be in a better spot, I think he's the most likely candidate in this series.
I tend to agree. One last thing before we get to the goaltending matchup from Paul Dirk. Duane, what do you think of Habs fans potentially taking over KeyBank? I know you've been vocal about it. I've seen a lot of accounts on Twitter like putting out posts like, if you were trying to sell your tickets, put them in this thread right here. Let's sell them to Sabres fans. Like, I don't think it's going to be as bad as we've seen like during regular season games, but I definitely predict you're going to have like 25% Montreal fans in the arena tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I think the 100 level specifically, like you see it on the broadcast, like when you're in the arena, you'll notice it a little bit more. Those red jerseys obviously really pop in contrast to all of the blue in the Sabres arena. So, and they're, of course, they're crazy, they're passionate, they're really loud. You got to give them credit for traveling as far as they do and apparently spending as much money as they do. So
Yeah,
it is what it is. Like, I would love and I hope that the shaming that has gone on publicly of everybody has made Sabres fans considering putting them on the open secondary market. I would hope that has had some type of effect. I think that it's going to be less than it was in the regular season. And even if it's not, like, these are things that we can't control. Like, as we said, it's of course a free country. And if you've got tickets, you have the ability to do it. Nobody is stopping you from doing it. I think there is a world where eventually there could be a way to get around this and to prevent people from doing it. But as it currently stands, there isn't, and it's something we can't control. So I think that the fans, hopefully, I mean, I think, like you said, it's going to be less than it was in the regular season. It's going to be less than it was when the Sabres were not in a good spot as they are now. And at the end of the day, it's a hockey game, right? The Sabres, it's not going to be a road game by any means. I think that the Sabres fans that are there are going to be louder than they normally are, and they will have the majority, and the noise will be there. But they've really thrived in barns with more adversity. Look what they did in Boston, which had a lot of Sabres fans there, but it is still a very passionate, long-standing fan base. So I'm personally not worried about it. I think it's something I was concerned about going in just with the history, but it is what it is, and I think it's going to be a non-issue.
Let's get into the goaltending matchup. Lion versus Dobish, right? Dobish. He gave us a tough go when we played. The only goal out of the two wins we have, I think both of them were both against Montembeault. They weren't against Dobish.
Either Montembeault or Primo, yeah.
Caden Primo, yeah. Is Cam Fowler?
He's also in the mix. Yeah, there's.
I think I want to say we beat Cam Fowler and Montembeault.
Yeah,
maybe we definitely didn't beat Dobish. Dobish gave us one hell of a game. We lost. I remember that.
Yeah, I think he was 2-0 against the Sabres this year, and the Canadiens 2 wins. And down the stretch, he was one of the best goalies in the league. He had, I think, in the final 3 months or something, like 15 goals saved above expected. He's a big guy. He's modeled his game, ironically enough, after Andrei Vasilevsky. I think that it was obviously pretty cool for him to beat his idol and play as well as he did in Game 7. He is a rookie, though. So if you were to ask me which goalie I would have rather faced in the second round, Jacob Dobish or Andrei Vasilevsky, I think 95% of Sabres fans would say Jacob Dobish. So I think there is some fortune in that sense. And with as well as Alex Lyon's playing at the moment, .955 save percentage in round 1 against Boston, I think you could say the Sabres have a slight edge, but goaltending also comes down to team defense. And I think the combination of the two things, with the Sabres being as good defensively as they have been, the Canadiens were good all season long too. So there's not much to bat an eye at there. I would give the slight edge to the Sabres, just an experience and maybe even a little bit of skill. from the defensive end, but it is close, and he's playing really well, so definitely should not be overlooked.
Yeah. We got some comments in here too from Gargon. The main issue is Pete decided to give extra tickets to season ticket holders. Totally unnecessary for Pete to give extra tickets to ticket holders as some kind of gratuity. Essentially saying they're selling their tickets to Montreal fans for the highest bidder. I personally I was sent that email. I declined to buy extra tickets. Again, I mean I would have sold them to a Sabres fan even if it would have meant a little bit less money coming my way. But yeah, I agree. Any Sabres fan who's selling their tickets to Montreal fans, shame them to hell. Getting back to the goalie matchup. Lyon, I mean, you could easily say he was the MVP of that first round against Boston. This has easily been the most successful he's been in his NHL career. I am very interested to see how well he performs this deep into the playoffs. This is the most he's played ever in an NHL season. This is the most pressure he's ever been under. And listen, that arena is going to be loud tomorrow night. I did hear, I forget who was talking about it. I forget who was talking about in GR. When you talk about between him and UPL, I think that given this long break that they've had, what is it now, 5 days, Hurls? 5 days between games?
Yeah. So, I mean, Friday to Wednesday, yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable even with that long layoff having Lyon back there. And this isn't a shot against, like, UPL.
No, I think that only helps him at his age.
Well, yeah. But if you want to think about it as a goalie, I'm not a fan of having such a long layoff. But if you think about it, UPL's layoff has been even longer. So given him being the veteran
over 2 weeks.
Yeah. So and you can't simulate real in-game play at practice. You just can't. Players aren't coming at you as hard. They're not as physical. The intensity just isn't always going to be there, even in practice for the playoffs. So I feel really comfortable having a seasoned veteran who has been in playoff runs before. Yeah, maybe not so much at the NHL level, but he has won a Calder Cup in the AHL, so he knows what it takes to win a championship. Yeah, I'm very comfortable having Alex Lyon in there over the rookie Jacob Dubish.
Yeah, I think this is, as we've heard time and time again, especially in the playoffs, this is Lyon's net until he gives it up. Or if the team somehow does not perform well or extremely unwell in front of him to the point where it wasn't necessarily his fault, but he lets in a bunch of goals in one singular game, I think that Alex Lyon will continue to start. And hopefully he does, because that means the Sabres are playing well, he's playing well, and they'll be able to keep this steady ship going into the Eastern Conference Finals. That would be the ideal scenario. But if UPL is called on, I think we can all be confident knowing that the Sabres do have a very, very capable goalie ready to come in case there is a situation where it's necessitated. I personally think that he was, of course, a little bit shaky to begin the first round against the Bruins, but he also made some big saves, as we've discussed in game one on the breakaways against Pasternak, and even to begin game two before the weird bounce and everything happened there. I think that he's more than capable to play well in the playoffs, and it's a very good thing to have those two options. But absolutely, Lyon's net until he gives it up.
Who's your dark horse for each team in the second round? Well, pick one guy from each team.
Given what we said earlier, I say Jack Quinn for the Sabres. I think that he is the type of player that will exist well in this type of matchup that is absolutely going to be less physical than it was in round one. I think that it is a much better scenario for him to use his skill in a much better fashion. There will be much more open ice. He's really succeeded in the past with that type of situation. So in the chances he's given, I think, and I mean, even look at the pass he made to Samuelson in game 1 to set up the game-winning goal. I think he's going to have a lot more opportunities to succeed in this type of series. And for the Canadians, I'll go with Demidov strictly because
he only had 1 assist in the first round.
Yeah, 1 assist, and that would make him a dark horse technically going into this round. But he's just so unbelievably talented. He is so fast. He is a really, really impactful hockey player when he's at his best. So I think he would have the chance, maybe with a little bit more room this series, to potentially, in a similar way to Jack Quinn, get more open ice to use his speed, use his skill, use his playmaking ability. So I would say Demidov.
Mm-hmm. We got Jaber here. He thinks it'd be Krebs. I think it's a good pick, man.
I mean, he had a great round 1. So hopefully,
and before he was injured, I mean, all 3 players that came back in the Jack Eichel trade have been huge parts of this lineup to start the playoffs. Ostlund, Krebs, Tuck, all performing at high levels. It sucks what happened to Ostlund, but next man up mentality, whoever that might be. Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely. I think I might be in on Krebs. I think Krebs continues where he left off in round 1. We'll see where if anything changes with that top line with Carrick coming back. I mean, what is that 4th line with Carrick back in the lineup?
I mean, it's probably Carrick, Malenstein, and Greenway. I would have to guess.
You would think, yeah. I think you might be right. And people complain about Greenway too. I get it. He's slow. He's not as talented as he was, back when he was at Minnesota. Maybe that first year at Buffalo, injuries have definitely taken a toll on him. But there is a place for him on this team. He is a great penalty killer. He's a good 5-on-5 player.
He's a big body. He plays with physicality.
I get it. He doesn't provide you much offensively, but not every guy in the playoffs, everybody plays a role, right? And he is a great penalty killer for them. He is a good shutdown forward. And he's go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, like, especially in that role in a specialized situation where it's going to matter as much as it will in this series, it is important. And you'd like more, but also that's not necessarily what you're asking for from your 4th line. I think that you can get a lucky goal here and there, as we saw from Beck Malenstein throughout the season, and even in Carrick's limited games, he had a few opportunities that he converted on. But as long as they're responsible defensively, and if they can add an added bonus to be good on the penalty kill, not the worst situation to have Greenway in the lineup.
No, not at all. I'm going to kick it back to our sponsors. Shout out again to Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, get on over to Fatty Beer. Let them know we sent you from 2 Goalies, 1 Mike. Shout out. Oh, and as we did in the first round, big watch party at Fatty Beer in Lancaster for Game 4, because Game 3 is on Mother's Day. So shout out to all the moms out there. Going to respect you not doing it on Mother's Day. But another watch party for Game 4 at the Fatty Beer in Lancaster, Main Street, shutting it down. We had around 2,000 people there the first one, expecting even more this time. I do know the Sabres for Game 4 are doing that casino thing again. And then they're doing for Game 6. I think they're going to do a watch party at the arena. But Game 4, biggest watch party in all of Western New York, outdoor, at Fatty Beer in Lancaster. Make sure you come. It's going to be a great time. Bring your kids, your dogs. Bring your own beer, bring your own food. You got Scoobs, you got Fatty Beer right there in case you need beverages or food. You got Papa Grande's down the street. So many different options, and it's just a great time. If you saw our videos from Game 3 and Round 1, you know what I mean. Incredible atmosphere. So make sure you stop on down. I know a lot of you will. Of course, Impulse Physical Therapy of Western New York. Hey, Western New York, it's time to ditch the physical therapy clinics that treat you like you are just another number and step into a world where you are at the center of your care. Impulse is owned by Buffalo's only board-certified sports physical therapist, using one-on-one science-backed technology like 3D motion analysis and force plates to help you exceed your goals and become the healthiest, strongest version of yourself. So come experience the Impulse difference today and mention this for a discounted $77 assessment. Remember, they are located at 5087 Broadway, Suite 100 in Depew, New York, right next to Catalyst Fitness. And of course, Extreme Discount Mattress, Western New York's finest selection of mattresses and adjustable beds with over 100 different options. They have 7 different Western New York locations. You can find them at their website, extrememattress.com. There's Extreme with the next. They also have a new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga. So make sure you go check them out and if you mention you're a fan of Two Goalies One Mike, get yourself a free mattress protector with the purchase of any mattress from Extreme Discount Mattress. Hurls, we're going on about an hour now. Let's get to your final thoughts. You cannot be heard. We cannot hear you.
Here we are. My final thoughts were Sabres in 7. I think that is the most likely possibilities for this series as we look at it from a number, vibes perspective, anything that you want. I think it is more likely than not that the series is going 7. It would be nice if it didn't and the Sabres won in either 4 or 5 or 6, but I think these teams are too evenly matched. The atmospheres in each building are going to be absolutely insane. And I personally think it's going to be the most entertaining series of the playoffs. I think what the Lightning and Canadiens just did showed us that it absolutely can be that close. It can be that exciting. But I think with the play styles and how they match up, I think the Sabres and Canadiens is arguably way more intriguing and way more exciting from a strictly hockey purist perspective. With all of this talent, all of these super young, talented players, I think there is a chance that this could be one of the instant classic type playoff series in NHL history. And maybe it won't be that. Who knows? But I think everything about the numbers, everything about just looking at these teams, even with the eye test, shows you that there's a chance this series could be exactly like that. And honestly, I hope it is. It would be super stressful to go to 7 games in whatever fashion it does. But I do think that ultimately the Sabres have a tiny bit of an edge in that, tiny bit of an edge on defense. And their top 9, top to bottom, is better than the Canadiens. Maybe you give the slight edge to the talent on the Canadiens' top line and definitely their power play. But I think top to bottom, the Sabres are slightly a better team, as they proved in the regular season, winning the Atlantic Division. So Sabres in 6 in the first round, Sabres in 7 in the second round, and we'll see what happens in the Eastern Conference Finals. It can't be 8.
I think this has the potential to be the most exciting round of the playoffs for round 2. No doubt about it. I know. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, 100%, without a doubt. And I hope it is, because I think Sabres fans, hockey fans, really deserve that. And I think it's going to be way more exciting than the style that the Bruins played and the only style they knew how to play. I think this is going to be a little bit closer to the river hockey memes that people talk about with this team. And I'm even from a non-Sabres perspective, and I'll have to try to get there, because otherwise it's too nerve-wracking. Just loving the game of hockey. I think this is going to be insanely entertaining.
Yeah, and I think there has the potential to be really high scoring, but I think goaltending is going to be so important in this series. When I say high scoring, but I say that for both teams. We haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what Dahlin has to offer. We haven't seen the tip of the iceberg when we see what Tage has to offer. Jack Quinn, hopefully, like you said earlier, hopefully he gets going. Alex Tuck, hopefully he keeps playing at the clip he is. There's a lot to be excited about as just from the outside looking in as a hockey fan. If you're not a Sabres fan, you're not a Montreal fan, and there's a lot to be excited about with this matchup between Buffalo and Montreal. But if you've enjoyed this podcast and you're listening on audio only, please make sure you're subscribed. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find myself on Instagram and Twitter at Duane S39. That's at DUANE S39. You can find my co-host Connor Hurley at CHurls13. Also on Twitter and Instagram. We're also on Facebook. If you're watching along on YouTube, as I see most of you are, please smash that like button. I think for the rest of the playoffs, I think my goal here is to get us 60 to 70 likes per episode. I think that's possible. It goes a long way. And if you aren't subscribed already, please make sure you're subscribed, hit the little bell icon, turn your notifications on so you know when we go live, so you can get all of the best, not just Sabres content, but hockey content. You can watch me with my tinfoil hat on. The NHL Draft Lottery is rigged. Blow Leafs blow. Let's go Sabres. Round 2. We'll see you tomorrow night after game 1. Let's go Sabres. Sabres on a war path. We'll talk to you tomorrow.